the little girl, forcibly adopted.
My little girl.
It's intense. She's basically telling him he's part of the problem, bordering on treason. And that if he had any guts, he'd have abolished the monarchy himself. She even predicts he might be the last king. The last, asterisk, music picks up tempo, a bit more urgent, asterisk, asterisk. Host, asterisk, asterisk now, if you thought that was a lot, let's talk Brexit. Andre Walker is basically saying the whole thing has been hijacked and destroyed.
So it has.
Remember wanting to rule ourselves? Yeah, well, turns out the red tape has increased. Metric system, still here. EU safety standards, still mandatory. He's talking about bureaucrats costing businesses thousands, forcing them to pay for pointless improvements. And the feeling? It's that people are being punished for working. He gives examples, a woman on benefits with 7 kids, and someone who, for working hard, gets the worst house on the street. It's a kick in the teeth, right? Is not against cooperating with Europe, mind you, just not that kind of Europe. And definitely not third world immigration. Asterisk, sound of a boat engine, then tense music, asterisk, asterisk. Host, asterisk, asterisk, and then there's the migrant crisis. It's all hands on deck, or maybe hands pushing boats back? French police might be getting tough, intercepting migrants in the channel. But there's a real fear of tragedy. And let's be honest, these aren't exactly people who are going to politely turn around. We're talking about organized gangs, violence, stabbings in the camps. Meanwhile, across the pond, Trump's talking about a permanent pause on migration from third world countries and removing anyone who isn't a net asset. Human rights lawyers are calling it a dangerous slippery slope, defining third world and net asset. Good luck with that. Asterisk, music shifts to something calmer, almost hopeful, but still serious. Asterisk, asterisk. Host, asterisk, asterisk. So, what's a person to do when the world feels like it's spinning out of control? Well, Tally Money is offering a gold-backed current account. Your everyday money? Milligrams of gold. They say it's a store of value, a hedge against inflation, and crucially, it's yours. Away from government control. Peace of mind, they call it. Asterisk, music swells slightly, then fades to a thoughtful, lingering note. Asterisk, asterisk. Host, asterisk, asterisk. So, a king questioning his faith, Brexit promises shattered, and a world grappling with who gets to cross its borders. Are we just waiting for the reckoning? Or is it already here? Asterisk, end screen with social media handles and a provocative question like, what's your god? Asterisk, asterisk.
I'm sorry, but I have to cross now to the House of Commons, where the Home Secretary is announcing the chair of the Grooming Games inquiry. Let's listen in.
They then found themselves belittled and even blamed when it was justice they were owed. In January, my predecessor asked Baroness Casey of Blackstock, who's here with us today, to conduct a national audit on group-based child sexual exploitation and abuse. With devastating clarity, Baroness Casey revealed the horror that lies behind that jargonistic term. It is vital that we too call these crimes what they were. Multiple sexual assaults committed by multiple men on multiple occasions. Children were submitted to beatings and gang rapes. Many contracted sexually transmitted infections. Some were forced to have abortions. Others had their children taken from them. But it was not just these awful crimes that now shame us. There was also an abject failure by the state in its many forms to fulfill its most basic duty, protecting the young and vulnerable. Worse still, some in positions of power turned a blind eye to the horror, even covered it up. Despite a shameful lack of national data, Baroness Casey was clear that in some local areas where data was available, and I quote, disproportionate numbers of men from Asian ethnic backgrounds were amongst the suspects. Like every member of my community who I know, I am horrified by these acts. We must root out this evil once and for all. The sickening acts of a minority of evil men as well as those in positions of authority who look the other way, must not be allowed to marginalise or demonise entire communities of law-abiding citizens. What is required now is a moment of reckoning. We must cast fresh light on this darkness. In her audit, Baroness Casey called for a national inquiry. In June, the government accepted that recommendation. And today, I can announce the chair and panel that will form the leadership of the inquiry and a draft of the inquiry's terms of reference. The inquiry will be chaired by Baroness Anne Longfield. As many in this place will know, Baroness Longfield was the Children's Commissioner from 2015 to 2021. She has devoted her life to children's rights, including running a charity supporting and protecting young people and working for prime ministers of different political parties. In recognition of her service, Baroness Longfield was elevated to the Lords earlier this year. At that point, she took the Labour whip, which on taking up this appointment, she will now resign. Alongside her, I can also announce her two fellow panellists. The first is Zoe Billingham, CBE. Zoe is a former inspector at His Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and currently serves as chair of Norfolk and Suffolk NHS Foundation Trust. She brings deep expertise in safeguarding and policing, specifically in holding forces to account. The second panellist is Eleanor Kelly, CBE. Eleanor is the former Chief Executive of Southwark Council. In 2017, she supported the survivors of the London Bridge terrorist attacks and the victims of the Grenfell Tower fire of the same year. Together, the chair and panel bring deep experience of championing children's rights, knowledge of policing and local government, and crucially, a proven track record of holding powerful institutions to account. Each individual was recommended by Baroness Casey, and her recommendation follows recent engagement with victims. The first thing the chair and panel will do, alongside Baroness Casey, is meet with victims later this week. Today, we also published the draft terms of reference, which I will place in the Library of the House. Baroness Casey was clear this inquiry must be time limited to ensure that justice is swift for those who have already waited too long. For that reason, it will be completed within 3 years, supported by a £65 million budget. The inquiry will be a series of local investigations overseen by a national panel with full statutory powers. Baroness Longfield has confirmed that Oldham will have a local investigation. The chair and panel will determine the other locations in due course, and no area will be able to resist a local investigation. These terms of reference are clear on a number of vital issues. The inquiry is focused specifically on child sexual abuse committed by grooming gangs. It will consider explicitly the background of offenders, including their ethnicity and religion, and whether the authorities failed to properly investigate what happened out of a misplaced desire to protect community cohesion. The inquiry will act without fear or favour, identifying individual, institutional and systemic failure, inadequate organisational responses and failures of leadership. It will also work hand in hand with the police. Where new criminality comes to light, be that by the perpetrators or those who covered up their crimes, the inquiry will pass evidence to law enforcement so they can take forward any further prosecutions and put more of these evil men behind bars. The inquiry must and will place victims and survivors at the forefront, with a charter setting out how they will participate and how their views, experiences and testimony will shape the inquiry's work. As I have said already, the terms are in draft form. The chair will now consult on them with victims and other stakeholders, and they will be confirmed no later than March, when the inquiry can begin its work in earnest. Alongside launching this inquiry, Baroness Casey's audit contained a number of other recommendations, which the government accepted in full. As the inquiry begins its work, we continue righting these wrongs. I can announce today that I have commissioned new research from UK Research and Innovation to rectify the unacceptable gaps in our understanding of perpetrators' backgrounds and motivations, including their ethnicity and religion. My predecessor wrote to all police forces calling on them to improve the collection of ethnicity data. And while the Home Secretary does not currently have the power to mandate that this is collected, I will rectify this by legislating at the earliest possible opportunity. The Department for Education is currently interrogating gaps in children in need data identified in the audit, which seems to underreport the scale of this crisis. My Right Honourable friend, the Education Secretary, will soon publish the findings of an urgent review of this data conducted by her department. Across government, the audit identified that poor data sharing continues to put children at risk. As a result, we are introducing a legal duty for information sharing between safeguarding partners. We are creating a unique identifier for each child, linking all data across government. And we are upgrading police technology to ensure data can be shared across agencies. The audit also identified an absurdity in our legal system that saw some child rapists convicted of lesser crimes. As a result, we are now changing the law to make clear that children cannot consent when they have been raped by an adult, and so perpetrators are charged for the hideous crime they have in fact committed. While the law has protected abusers from the consequences of their crimes, it has too often punished victims. Some survivors were convicted for crimes they had been coerced into, continuing their trauma to this day. We are already legislating in the Crime and Policing Bill to disregard offences related to prostitution. And the Ministry of Justice is now working with the Criminal Cases Review Commission to ensure that they are resourced to review applications from individuals who believe that they were wrongly criminalised. The national audit identified further weaknesses in relation to taxi licensing. Abusers were applying for licenses in areas where controls were lax to circumvent protection put in place by local councils to tackle abuse. My Right Honourable friend, the Transport Secretary, will soon be legislating to close this dangerous loophole in the regulation of taxis. The audit was clear that justice has not been done. Baroness Casey requested that a new national police investigation was required to bring offenders to justice. Last month, the National Crime Agency launched Operation Beacon Port, reviewing previously closed cases of child sexual exploitation. It has already flagged more than 1,200 cases for potential reinvestigation, more than 200 of which are high-priority cases of rape. The evil men who committed these crimes and thought they got away with it will find they have nowhere to hide. The audit finally called on the government to fund the delivery of its recommendations. Alongside investment in the inquiry itself, I can announce today that a further £3.65 million will be committed this year to the policing operation, survivor support and research into grooming gangs. This work, Madam Deputy Speaker, is essential. But without truth, there can be no justice. Today, I've announced the chair and panel of an inquiry which will shine a bright light on this dark moment in our history. They will do so alongside the victims of these awful crimes.
Well, you're not doing nothing about it anyway, you silly woman.
This inquiry is theirs, not ours. So I call on all those present to put politics aside for a moment and to support this chair and her panel in the pursuit of truth and justice. And I
don't know what the truth is of it, you're in the fucking head, so what happened? Fucking terrorist, you are,
Deputy Speaker. Let us remember
where's the
victims
ginger
are at the
bitch?
heart of this.
She's got it
Young
now because
girls,
she's going
some
with Angela
only
Rayner
10 years old, were groomed and gang raped by men of mainly Pakistani origin. Girls like Jane, just 12 years old when she was raped by
Now
an
the
illegal
girl could be
immigrant.
next.
When she was found by police, instead of arresting
She's
the
12.
rapist, They arrested Jane.
Falsely wrongly adopted her, pedo
Only
services
15
that
years
belong
old,
to this lot.
who repeatedly told social
Why don't
workers
you go and get
that
my
she had
little
been
girl
gang
back
raped,
to me, her
but instead of
mother?
helping
Hurry
her,
up.
they allowed her to marry her main
themselves.
abuser in an Islamic ceremony,
Before anything happens
attended
to her.
by the very social worker who should
Start
have protected
preventing
her.
then. Start doing your job then.
Last week, sentencing remarks were published from several of these terrible cases. I warn the House some of these are
Stop
extremely
taking little
graphic.
girls away from the
One
parents that
perpetrator,
don't need to be
Mohammed
there.
Karar, raped a 12-year-old girl, and when she tried to fight back, he hit her with a baseball bat and then inserted the handle into her vagina. He also injected her with heroin and forced her to take crack cocaine.
Exactly, and that could be my little girl
Another
next.
man,
Do you not
Arshid
understand
Hussain,
that?
viciously beat a young
That this
girl,
could be my little girl
stubbed
next.
out a cigarette on her chest, tied her up, and she was then repeatedly raped by numerous different Asian men. The same man, Arshid Hussain, also called a victim who had been raped and abused since the age of just 7, quotes, white trash. He said that Asian girls would not do what he was forcing her to do. There was an explicit racial element to his crime. He was raping his victim because she was white. The identity of the majority of the perpetrators is something that should not be hidden. A 2020 study by academics at the universities of Southampton and Reading reviewed 498 grooming gang convictions. They found that 83% of the perpetrators were of Muslim background, mainly specifically of Pakistani heritage. The Casey report and the Telford report made similar observations. The fact is, these crimes were deliberately covered up by those in authority who were more interested in so-called community relations and in avoiding being called racist
what did they never do
than they
anything
were
for?
in
What?
protecting
King
young
Charles
girls.
scared about being called
I
racist.
spoke to a retired police officer who was told
What,
by a
Queen
serving
scared
chief
about being called
superintendent
racist
to
as well?
stop investigating abuse
And King Charles
by
as well?
Pakistani origin taxi drivers in Bradford because the local police did not want to offend Bradford's
So
Muslim
King Charles was
community.
scared, they're scared,
And I sent the
they're
name of that
scared,
officer
for fuck's
to
sake,
the
we're all
police
scared to
for
sum it out.
investigation. A former Labour MP, Simon Danship, was even told by the then chair of the Parliamentary Labour Party
Not
to stop
scared,
asking
it's all
questions to
bullshit.
avoid antagonising the Muslim community in his
Why?
town.
Why?
Yet when the need for a national inquiry into this was raised in January, the Prime Minister disgracefully smeared those calling for an inquiry as, quotes, far
Well,
right.
what with the Muslim
What the
community?
Prime Minister
What-
claimed
what-
was a
what
far
these
right
people
bandwagon
thinking
in
that's really
January
gonna happen?
had become government policy by
What's
June.
going to happen if you did
So will the
upset
Home
the
Secretary
Muslim
please
community
apologise
then?
on behalf of the Prime Minister
Well, then
for
what's
what
really
he
going to
said
happen if you do
last
upset
January?
them and say something
The truth
about
is,
it?
this should not have taken several months and the threat of a vote in Parliament to agree to this inquiry in the first
upsetting
place,
who and
and
what?
it should not have taken another 6 months to
Who's
appoint a
bigger
chair.
than King Charles
That is
and
what
the
the
Queen then?
survivors and their families
Who's been
told
bullying
me
King
yesterday.
Charles then and the Queen all this time?
One of the most disturbing elements of this scandal is the deliberate cover-up of these crimes, as I've
And
said.
the Church of England.
So can the Home
bullying them?
Secretary assure the House that those in authority who covered up these crimes
Maybe the authority.
will be
The authority
prosecuted
bullying
for the
King
offence of
Charles.
misconduct in public office?
I think King
And
Charles
will
is
she
not
ensure the
complicit with all
inquiry
this and
refers
using
such
it
cases to the police for investigation? Can she confirm the
well,
inquiry will
let's just
formally
say-
start in March of 2026?
Hang on a minute.
And the final report
And maybe because I am Geek Girl and King Charles, let's just think, yeah. Do you reckon that King Charles has not got anything to do with anything? And that somehow, well, who's bullying King Charles then? Who's bullying the royal family about this stuff then? Why are they not speaking out on this sort of stuff? Why have they never spoke out on this stuff for the country? And especially when it comes to religion. We are a Christian country. They are Christians. Why are they never speaking out? And or making it more Christian, or speaking out more for the Christians, or not just speaking out more for the Christians, but making it basically point straight that this is a Christian country. We are the royal family. I am the king. That is the queen, or was the queen. And as the king and queen, you will uphold and respect the values of the king and queen and the royal family in the country. Well, why are they not speaking about it then? Why is King Charles not talking about them sort of things then? Because it don't make sense, does it? Why he's not speaking? Just because I think he's got a bit of cancer. Well, he spoke to Macron. Oh yeah, he could go to dinner with Donald Trump, but he can't get up and do this. Speak about the country, the religion of the country, and basically make it clear that this is a Christian country to these people, and they should uphold being a Christian country. And we don't have Sharia laws here, and we should not be having Sharia laws. Why is the king and not speaking about this? It does sound funny, doesn't it, on the fact that what I've been saying about the king changing his religion and them saying there's no evidence. And well, I think I'm more correct that I know I'm right, that he has changed his religion, and I'm fucking right. And I ain't gonna change my fucking opinion, and I ain't gonna change my fucking mind. King Charles has changed his religion, and that's all there is to it. And he can get out. Because I think we've had enough of that cunt. I've had enough of him. I can't stand him anymore. No, I can't stand the royal family either. They can leave.
Sound of a coin dropping and spinning.
This is my
Okay,
family.
picture this. What if I told you that the most valuable thing you own isn't your phone, or your car, or even your house? What if it's something you can hold in your hand, something that's been passed down through generations,
coins.
something that whispers stories of knights and wars
coins, I've just found
well,
another one.
Brexit?
I've got a lot more
Dramatic
coins than the ones you
pause.
think.
Yeah, I know. Sounds wild, right? But that's exactly where we're diving today, into the absolutely bonkers, totally
Special coin
unexpected
collector.
story of the Poynton family. We're talking centuries here, like real old school. We've got Sir Richard de Poynton, knighted way back in 1297. Imagine that. Then fast forward to the English Civil War, and there's Sir George Poynton, a royalist commander, sadly killed in battle. Then America's Revolution? Yep, Sir John Poynton, a loyalist, also met his end in battle. It's like a history textbook, but with actual people, actual drama. And it doesn't stop there. The Industrial Revolution? Sir William Poynton was a big player, knighted by Queen Victoria herself. Then World War I, another Sir Thomas Poynton, lost in the trenches.
And the war and the royal family.
It's a lineage of resilience, of service, of, well, a lot of fighting and building. Their motto? Il tempo passa, time passes, and boy, has it passed for the Poyntons. But here's where it gets really interesting. We're talking about Fred Poynton. This guy survived the sinking of HMS Repulse in World War II.
Poynton,
Imagine that sheer terror, and then survival. He went on to be a huge philanthropist, knighted for his work. And his legacy? It's carried on by his granddaughters, Caroline and Natalie. Now, these ladies are going through it, big time. We're talking serious family struggles, kids removed by social services, allegations flying. It's heavy stuff. They're hoping for a fresh start, maybe even in Australia. But here's the kicker, the thing that ties it all together. These rare coins, we're not talking pocket change here. We're talking Brexit 50p coins worth 100 grand. Peter Rabbit 50p coins, 10 grand a pop. King Charles III coronation coins, thousands. These aren't just coins, guys. Their history, their culture, they're a tangible link to Fred, to Sir William, to all of them. It's implied Caroline might even be selling some. Maybe it's their ticket out, their way to a new beginning. Think about it. From knights in shining armour to the very symbol of Britain leaving the EU. It's a journey, right? A story etched in metal. So, the next time you find a weird coin in your pocket, don't just toss it. Who knows? Maybe it's not just a coin. Maybe it's a story waiting to be told. Maybe it's your own. Coin spinning sound fades out.
Well, that's about me and my family. And a bit about me and my little sister. And about my little girl, what they've done by wrongly, falsely adopting her and taking her away from her mother, me. I suggest pedo services from the UK, King Charles, government, they go and get my little girl before any of these rapists or anything can get hold of her. Bring her back to me. Do you hear me? I'm a mother. Caroline Poynton, Poynton. Bring her back to me. I demand that. Now, I shall send Poltergeist, Hitler, and Jack the Ripper after them all. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.